Welcome to Let's Get Mathy. Today we are going to be looking at how to rewrite rational exponents as radicals and then do that vice versa. So I understand that some of you might not really know the math term radical, but in reality you have actually been using radicals since probably middle school. Radical, you guys probably know as the square root symbol. Now, with the square root symbol, they have actually had a hidden number in them all along. There's been a hidden 2 in there. You could actually even expand that to saying there is also then a hidden 1. So if we did the square root of 9, we know that equals positive or negative 3. Hidden numbers are all around us in math. Gotta watch out for those sneaky guys. So here's a little snapshot of radical vocabulary. The reason why these are called radicals is that's the name of the symbol. It's called a radical. The index or the root is right here. It's going to be written inside that little check mark. And then what is underneath the radical is known as the radicand. Okay? So out of these words, probably the 2 most important are radical and the index. Those are typically the words you're going to hear math teachers use the most. Radicand doesn't come up too often, but it might be helpful for you to know that it's the term underneath the square root or radical symbol. All right, so again, we're talking about our final property of exponents. So you know me, I always love a good little what do you notice, what do you wonder? Take a moment to look over this pattern here I've written out for you. We have our exponent or exponential form, 2 to the 8th. That's equivalent to the power of 2 of 256. 2 to the 4th is equivalent to 16. 2 squared is equivalent to 4. 2 to the 1st is equivalent to 2, right? So notice I've been using that word equivalent because that's really what we're working on today is how do we write things in equivalent forms or equivalent expressions. So take a moment. Let me know if there's anything you notice or wonder about this pattern. So some of you may have noticed that the powers or the exponents have a distinct pattern, that they are being halved or divided by 2, right? So if we continue that pattern, 2 divided by 1, or I apologize, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So what would 1 divided by 2 be? That would be 1/2. So A would be 2 to the 1/2 power. What? The exponent is a fraction. Oh, now we're going to divide that by 2 again, and that would be equal to 2 to the 1/4 power. Divide that again, because dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. We get 2 to the 1/8. What in the world is going on? Well, can we make a connection now to the powers? Now, 256 to 16, maybe nobody's really seeing that connection. But from 16 to 4, well, I remember the square root of 16 is 4. I also see that the square root of 4 is 2. Is the square root of 256 16? It is. Oh, look at that. So the pattern for the bottom is that we're taking the square root of the prior term to equal the subsequent term. So that means that D must be equivalent to the square root of 2. Oh gosh, look at that. So, and again, remember I told you there was a little hidden 2 in here? Now, if you want to write it in decimal form or approximation, we could say that's approximately 1.4. Now I could keep going, right? So how would I do that? I could do what's known as a nested radical. Oof. Or I can say, Remember that word index? That's where I can write that I'm doing the fourth root of 2. Or again, as an approximate decimal, 1.18. If you truncate it, you could round that up to 1.2. Oh gosh, what if we had to do it 3 times? Sometimes these are known as nested surds. Oof, look at that. Right, mathematicians, we've always been about coming up with shortcuts. So I could say that this is the 8th root of 2. Huh, that's pretty cool. So what we're looking at here is how do we write in equivalent expressions a radical expression and exponential expression. So what we have seen here is that 2 to the 1/8 equals the 8th root of 2. These are equivalent expressions. What do you think would happen if we changed the base to 3? Do you guys think that this whole concept that we can write fractional exponents as radicals would still work? Yes or no? Well, let's check it out. Let's check it out, right? So I'm dividing by 2, right? Same thing. All my exponents are decreasing by half. So I would end up with 3 to the 1/2, right? B would be 3 to the 1/4. C would be 3 to the 1/8. Huh, is that the square root? To the calculator I go, let me check. The square root of 6,561 is 81. I don't need any calculator for this. I know that the square root of 81 is 9. I know that the square root of 9 is 3. So there we have it. It does still work. D would be the square root of 3. E would be the 4th root of 3. And F would be the 8th root of 3. Now, I use this pattern of dividing by 2 because students are most comfortable with square roots. This certainly would work if we were dividing by 3. It's just that now our index would be the cube root of whatever value we're working with. Pretty cool stuff. Now, what happens if I want to just kind of make a general rule, right? So whatever the base is, x, can we make that a rule to apply for all the real numbers? And indeed we can. It's pretty cool. So our textbook has this nicely written out for us here. So they had you guys do a little explore in a different way and come to the same conclusion, which is right here up top. You can see the rule. Might be a little hard to read, so I'm going to write that more clearly for you guys. So again, as we saw, a, or we were using x, to the 1 over whatever sort of progress that we were dividing by is equal to the nth root of a. Now this also applies to if your numerator is not 1. It could be that you have a value up above it, which is just a normal exponent then. So the nth root of a, all of that, sometimes written in parentheses, to the m power. So we can see here we have a few examples, right? So we have 27 to the 2/3. Can we write that as a radical? And that's our goal here, is just really to get comfortable writing it as a radical. So that is the cube root of 27 to the 2nd power, which if we then evaluated that radical, we could see that that would be 3 squared, which is 9. Again, I'm really focusing on that you can write in one form or then vice versa. 4 to the 3/2 power, So my denominator is 2, so I have a hidden 2 as my index. It's the square root of 4 to the third power. Now notice how they wrote that a little different, and that's okay. Another way we have equivalent expressions. So you can have the power underneath your radical. These are also equivalent expressions. And you can see the two rules right here detailed as well. So coming up to example 1 here, we see some problems worked out. Now notice that we do have a negative radicand in a sense, negative base, and that works, okay? We can take the odd roots of negative numbers. So notice we do have a cubed root of that. So the cube root of negative 125 to the 4th power. Why do you think we can take the cube root of negative 125, but not the square root? Moving on, we see now we have a variable base, right? So I just want you to translate the radical expression into expressions with rational exponents and vice versa. Simplify numerical expressions when possible. Assume all variables are positive. So we see here that we have a denominator of 8, so that's the index. Our base is x, so that becomes our radicand, and then our power is 11. And you could write it either way. Similarly here, we have 6 to the 4th being taken to the 5th root, and I want to write that as now an exponential form. So my index is 5. So the index, so as a little rule of thumb here, the index is your denominator and the power is the numerator. And you see here this last example that we have a base of x, so I write that as x, index of 4, that's my denominator, power of 3, x to the 3/4. So to close out this activity, I am going to ask you a series of questions on problems A, B, C, and D. Now you'll notice here that it's changing a little bit because you have more than one base, but it applies to all. So you can see here how your final answers can include multiple variables or values, and the rules still apply. So what I want you to reflect on as you're working on these problems is, can you rewrite a rational exponent as a radical? And again, some key vocabulary is that you have an index, which is the denominator, and then a power, which is the numerator in an exponential expression. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's Let's Get Mathy video on working with the exponential form of a radical expression and vice versa. Take care, everybody.